What's up, folks? It's your boy MMG Smurf here, coming to you live, and today we're going to be talking about the latest updates to the Animal Farm and Piggy Bank Pigs V2 token from FOREX Shark, the mighty leader of the Animal Farm. We'll also be individually talking about each one of those sections. So we'll be talking about the Piggy Bank, we'll be talking about the Animal Farm, we'll be talking about DRIP and the recent price fluctuations with DRIP, whether or not we think it's the bottom, whether or not we think it's game over, etc. And if you find any of this information useful, entertaining, what have you, like and subscribe and follow our next content pieces. We've been doing this for years. Anything that you do as far as liking and subscribing, or if you decide to follow us in any of these contracts, that supports Money Match Gaming's esports and play to earn community. So we have a play to earn Discord server. We also have an esports team and guild. And so just putting that out there. Like, subscribe. Now let's jump into this thing. I got a nice little picture behind me. First things first. Pigs and the piggy bank. So the pigs, for anybody who's been sleeping underneath a rock, the piggy bank has been paused, as well as the animal farm has also been paused, and this is due to malicious actors in the piggy bank. So it was botted. AKA somebody used a bot to snipe the price, and I believe it was more than one actor used a bot to snipe the price of the pigs token, or the LPs for the piggy bank at launch of the piggy bank. And this resulted in them being able to get the LPs at a very, very cheap price for the piggy bank, which put everybody else at it's very, very skewed fluctuation. And these people used over $500,000 to do so. So it's quite a bit of money that they used to do so with a bot. So FOREX Shark has done what they usually do, acting against bots, which is make necessary adjustments to make it a little bit more equal for the entire community. As the saying goes, in the animal farm, all animals are equal, but some are more equal. And so there's still going to be some fluctuation for those that bought in early, but it'll be a lot more equal. That's what they're trying to work out here. And so I have some images from the Telegram to keep you in the know. Here we go. This first message is from March 13th. You can see that there. Note it, and I'm going to try to skim through these somewhat. So if there's anything you want to read a little bit more in depth, go ahead and pause the video and read the full thing. But March 13th, we're hoping we can start having people send their V1 pigs and pigs LP tomorrow, which is today, the 14th. Everything the exact same, just early buyers will have less price impact, meaning people who got in after them got a better exchange rate, and people will have, and I don't know if he meant got there, or if that's supposed to be get, and people will have the ability to compound small stakes. I feel like it would be better if it was get, but whatever. But people will have the ability to compound small stakes. That was a big issue for a lot of people at the animal farm. Was just they weren't able to compound small stakes, and people were like, oh, I have all these, truffles. When can I get it? And there's a lot of questions about I believe you need like 2 million truffles to be able to compound, and so that issue is going to be switched. As usual, our code works perfectly. This was not an issue with the code. The issue The issue we had is due to using the same metrics as the drip garden. So the drip garden is another smart contract that works in tandem with the animal farm and drip using LPs, very similar to the mining games that were once very popular. But drip garden didn't get botted by snipers buying $500,000 at launch. If people would have just used the contract normally, none of this would have happened. And I changed the wording there a little bit, but that's what he's meant. Let's scroll up here. Basically, this last portion, and I suggest if you want to read through it specifically as FOREX says, go ahead and pause the video. But all he says here is that FOREX and their partners, so probably BB and the rest of the team, would have been able to see these issues had they taken just a little bit more time and not felt so rushed with the launch dates and launch time and stuff like that of it. But due to them wanting to get the product out on time for everybody and the time that they said they were going to do after having already delayed it, they pushed ahead and we're hoping there wouldn't be any malicious actors, but there were, and so we have the situation that we have. Next item on the addendum. So basically, they would have had made a safer decision, would be to go, or the safer decision would have been to go with what worked with Drip Garden. It's a major lesson learned. We will never set a launch date until everything is 100% done, so we don't feel pressured to make a quick decision. If we had one more day or even an extra couple hours, we would have realized the answer was to start with a higher seeding amount, plus increase the piglet supply relative to the truffles. This way, it never costs more than a fraction of a cent to buy a whole piglet. Lessons learned. We did have protocols to prevent a disaster, which have been put in place, and we will move forward better than with from the lessons learned. better with it from the lesson learned. But yeah, it's a good thing they did have some protocols put in place in case anything did go negative. I know a lot of people were kind of pissed about the fact that some of these smart contracts are frozen. But at the same time, you can also, if you know what you're doing in crypto, you can always go in and remove your funds. Now you can't move them from the piggy bank. That's a different situation. But from the farm itself, you can go in there and move your funds. Everything is the exact same, just by, so that's kind of like a duplicate of what we just said. The farm and pools are not changing. You can keep your money in them. The only reason we are relaunching Pigs token is because, oops, let me pull this up. The only reason we're relaunching Pigs token is because a couple of botters have way too many of them, and we have no good way of blacklisting them since they hold LPs unless we launch a Pigs V2. So that's why there is a new launch of a Pigs token. And if you watched our last video, or if you've been watching other people that have been covering this topic, we were supposed to start over the weekend, but FOREX didn't give us a specific time. And now we are past the weekend. We are on to Monday. And so supposedly we might be starting today or tomorrow, it looks like. But as they've said in the previous messages that we've already read on stream or on video, all the code is done. It's just them wanting to make sure they go over things and have everything perfect. So into this is the message from today, March 14th. The swap contract is done. I'll finish up the UI in a few hours. We need to give some time for people to swap V1 pigs and V1 pigs LP. No one needs to do anything with their piglets. So for people that have questions about the piggy bank and do I compound my piglets? Do I need to somehow move my piglets? You don't need to do anything with the piglets. You should have stopped compounding a while ago because you're just using up gas. Everything was paused after they took a snapshot. The Pigs V2 and all of those related contracts are done. All the data is pulled from Piggy Bank. I'm doing very well, so just an update on themselves. They're doing very well, working hard to get this done because it's so much more I want to do after this migration is completed. So yeah, FOREX is supposed to be working on other partnerships and things like that for the DRIP community, and this is kind of slowing them down. And also they want to roll out a new UI for DRIP, which is a UI that has been studied, and it's kind of like, I'm from a marketing background and stuff like that, and so I know very much, like, when you're looking for a new website UI, you want to pay attention to, the Nikes, the Disneys, the Amazons, because they spent millions of dollars having people and doing the research for what works best. And so they're using a new UI on DRIP, similar to I think a Charles Schwab or something like that, which has had millions of dollars to figure out what works best and what draws in certain types of people. And so that's what they're going to be using for the new DRIP UI. It's going to be like a fresh start for everyone in the piggy bank. Now, this is a little bit vague. I don't know if that means that, we all have to start. Well, there was a snapshot, but hopefully that doesn't mean that, all the compounding that we did before the snapshot is null. You will get piglets based on your deposits, and the distribution of piglets on those deposits will be based on higher starting seed amount, similar to starting with a deeper liquidity pool. This means the price impact of initial, and I have to switch to the next message actually. This means the price of initial buyers will be less, giving people who got in after a more fair distribution. Then we go live. So after the swap is completed, we will go live with the contract. That's the updates from Forex Shark on the Piggy Bank and the Pigs V2. So it should be out within the next 48 hours. I'll continue to keep you up to date on that information and make a video, release that to YouTube as we see necessary, as I find that information, enough of that information to actually make a video about. So yeah, without going to the animal farm, we will go to it briefly. The contracts are currently paused still. But again, as I've been saying the whole time, if you're really worried about it and you just want to get your funds out of there, you can always do so by visiting Binance BSC scam. And then also Crypto Slow showed a video of how to do it specifically, which was go to VFAT. VFAT will show you the pool numbers. Take your pool number, put it into Binance BSC scan, and then withdraw your tokens, however much you want to withdraw, whatever have you. Okay, up. I'm just realizing this is down and slightly problematic for me because I use this. It's okay. We're gonna be good. All right. So next thing that I want to do is cover the animal farm. Well, not the animal farm, but DRIP. Because I feel like we got the animal farm and all that stuff wrapped in there. Next thing was DRIP and the price and fluctuations to the price, etc. So let's go over there, shall we? Actually, before I have to do it kind of ugly today. Cool. And so first thing that I want to cover was the general market, and this is still the drip segment, but I want to cover the general market first. And that's just to say that while drip is down, depending on when you bought into drip, because I bought into drip pretty early. I'm gonna Match Gaming got into drip fairly early still, and so we're up on both of our accounts. But if you got into drip when it was at 100 something dollars, 190, and then get touched on the all-time high and people were still buying in and stuff, then you're probably feeling some type of way about it. You're like, oh, it's down so much, I have to compound. And that's the beautiful thing about drip, is that if you can compound through the losses and make up for it, and it's going to keep doing its 1% a day. And so after 3 months or so, you're back where you started. And if the prices started moving up already, well, then you're going to be sitting really pretty. But a lot of people are probably going to give up on it. They're going to see their bags go down to a certain amount, and they're not going to pay attention until the price is back up somewhere where they like it, where it looks nice to them, and that's going to hurt them in the long run. But the general market is down right now. We kind of got this maybe an M pattern forming, but I know a trader once said you want to take the two tops and do an average, and if the number that you get is higher with the two averages, then the market's more likely to go to the upside. And when I look at this, the second peak is higher to the right on Bitcoin and on Ethereum. And so I'm looking at that as probably go down in the short term, but it doesn't mean that it's like a long, we're going to see, an extended bearish trend here. Cool. One of the things that I wanted to throw into the equation, which is kind of signaling a short term bearish move. But then also I'll show you the rest of this. So this is the USD index on the 1 day. This is just like the buying power of the United States dollar in international markets basically. And so you can see we had this double bottom here, but the bottom sits low, and then a lower low, and then we're heading back up. And so this next day or two will be very important in seeing whether or not we break this resistance level, because instead of being support, these are supports, these bottoms, and this is resistance at the top. And so if we can break through this resistance and go back up on the United States dollar, then that would be more bearish for the cryptocurrency market. It generally is, most of the time. But if it fails, the United States dollar will start to trim back downward. And this is the best that the United States dollar has looked in some years, over 5 years or something, truly. But if it fails, because we have not been at 99 cents for a long time. If it fails, it'll start trending back downward. That'll be better for the entire cryptocurrency market, for stocks, etc. And you'll notice those price fluctuations doing that. So I wanted to also move out to the 1 month chart, and I tweeted this a week or so ago, where I was like, "Oh, it's time," because I saw it hit here, and then I saw us go up for another peak, and then maybe it was right here. I guess it was this one right here. We did this little double top right here. If we really were able to see in there, but to me that started to signal that there was a little bit of weakness starting, and we might start to downtrend. And so of course it could continue to go upward, but I'm looking at this as a potential double top for the United States dollar, because one right here, or this one's a little bit lower. Bitcoin cryptocurrency just recently did a similar pattern, and so most of the times you see something like that, and then you get this little valley happening. And not to say that it can't go back up, but that means we're probably heading downward. So that's what I'm looking at. So there might be a little bit of relief as far as the market goes. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, or anything like that. It's not financial advice. Just a dude that tries to learn more and more each day, and that's what I'm seeing from the market. That's what I'll kind of be playing off of. All right, looking at the drip price specifically. Drip has pretty much bottomed out, or at least met its support line. So this is the support line for drip, where you have a lot of support here. You can see bounced off of this once, bounced off this twice, and then we're all the way down here again, and failed to get back down there a few times. But this is pretty much the beginning of the major rally. After we had a nice little climb, and then this was the beginning of the major rally portion. The only other downside that we could get to is around $25, where I'd say there's probably the most support. But if it does that, yeah, it'd be really interesting to see what happens if it actually goes all the way down there. I feel like the most support is at this level right here, maybe down to $47. So we're all of $2 away. We could get a little wick down there. This is already starting to look like an indecision wick. So if we do wick down there, that would be very similar to what I said in about two videos ago. I said, wouldn't be surprised if we start to see like a little indecision wick or candle. So that just means that it's kind of chunky in the middle, and then you get a long wick to the upside and a long wick to the downside, which just means the price hit those two different peaks during the day, and then it settled, opened, top and then closed somewhere else. I really forget which one is which for the open and close. You should know more, Smurf. But that's what you're looking at for those type of candles. And this is just kind of signaling that this might actually maybe be the bottom. Don't go catching knives, as they like to say. But yeah, that's what I'm looking at as far as the drip price goes. And if you were like, oh, it could go lower, maybe this is not the time to buy in. Maybe wait for a reversal, unless you're already in there. But if we did go lower, you could expect it to go maybe on bearish target down to like underneath here. This the start of this upward trend, which is around $25. And then I think that would truly be like, wow, it really bottomed all the way out. And so that's what I'm looking at. It's not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but there's that portion of things. Let's see. Last thing that I want to do with DRIP and the DRIP network was actually check out the price right now, $44. Go over here, go to the faucet, because even when it rains, it pours over in DRIP. We have $70 to claim today. We're going to hydrate that through. Our strategy is a 5-2 strategy. So 5 days out of the week, we're compounding. 2 days out of the week, we're claiming. But whenever the price is down, I feel like it's a better time to maybe even adjust your strategy and go that much harder on the compounding, so that when the price does start to move back upward, you need to claim less. You can adjust your strategy some, and maybe you only need to claim one time because you've benefited so much more from the price momentum. And so considering that as well, I'm definitely normally on Mondays we claim, but today we're compounding, especially since I forgot to compound one of the days over the weekend. So that was a 2-day build up right there. And so we'll probably be claiming tomorrow if we do decide to claim, or maybe we'll just do it on Friday and just do a 1 day this week. So most likely a 1 day. That covers everything. Last thing we'll touch on is Splassive, or the Splash network from Bitcoin Brown. So Bitcoin Brown has been in the DeFi and crypto community for a long time. Most of the big whales in DRIP do know about them. This is on the Avalanche C chain. So it's the Avalanche's DeFi blockchain. And this came out 48 hours ago or so now. It's got almost 4,000 players in it. DRIP has close to 80,000 players in it at this point. But it took DRIP months to get 5,000 players in it. And so this is definitely benefiting from the fact that DRIP has been so successful. I'm not currently logged into Avalanche on this blockchain, so I can't see all the information that I would normally be able to see. But it should still show me the price of a token, I believe, on this page. I believe. And okay, cool. I actually got a better chart now. Cool. They had a crazy poopy chart before. But yeah, okay. So it's saying that the price of this token is at $24 right now. It's seen a crazy climb. I watched it climb from around that $10 range or so, $9-10, all the way up to 24. We did jump in with a small bag around $14, and so we're up in our bag. And it wasn't much, but this is the difference between this and DRIP is this one does, number one, it's on Avalanche, and so it's not a direct competitor with DRIP, and then number two, it does 2% a day for 180 days instead of 1% a day for 365 days. And so that's the real differences between this one and DRIP. Also, different developer entirely. This is by Bitcoin Brown, who ran some other projects on Tron, which did have their issues. But people learn from their mistakes. And if I will say anything about Bitcoin Brown, it's just that if not a developer that the community feels like is like somebody who's going to rug, I feel like if that was the case, they would have rugged in the past when there are a bunch of different projects, and they never did. It was always just a situation where the market decides what's going to happen. And so there's that. That's our little wrap up on today, covering all of our topics. Hopefully you found it informational, entertaining, educational, and we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and support Money Match Gaming. Links are in the bio. Deuce.